And we are live, and I am live. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the February 2nd Monday Night Chill Stream. It is 2026, and we have crossed the Rubicon in a certain way, and I'm excited by that. I saw Virgil Doc in the comments. I gotta rush right to the comment section before we get to all the exciting content. But Virgil Doc in the comment section, welcome, sir. Welcome to the show. Good evening. Good evening, James. How is life on the road? This Virgil Doc, you are. I don't know if anyone's ever told you this, but you're jinxing me. So far this year, I had a flat on the Jersey Turnpike, and then what else happened? Something else happened. Tuesday, there's really no work. It's like 8:00. In the evening, I checked in at like 1:30 in the afternoon. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do anything. Whatever they give me, I'm not going to leave the state. Like maybe I'll go to Trenton or something like that, but I'm not going to drive out of state. It's too late. I'm not in the mood. It's 19 degrees out. You know, we had the snowstorm, and it's partially cleared. So I decided to go to the supermarket to get some food. I go to the supermarket. I'm getting some food, and I'm trying to think of what I'm going to do. I'm like, let me just go drive around for a little while. I realize it seems like an odd thing because all I do is drive around, but, I'm going to go just not to be home for a little while. And phone rings, and they go, hey, you want to go to Boston? And I looked up, I said, dude, it's 8:30 at night. I said, I'm not going to Boston. That's going to be 5.5 hours up there, 5.5 hours back. I'm not, it's already 8:30 at night. I'm not going to go to Boston. Okay, they hang up the phone. 10 minutes later, they call me up. They said, hey, you want to go to Dulles? You want to go to Virginia? And which is usually an easier, faster job. And I was like, nah, that's too late. I don't want to be driving till like 5 in the morning, And they said, okay, we'll call you tomorrow. And I hang up the phone, and I look, and I'm like local to where I am. And I noticed my dashboard is going dim, and my battery light comes on. And I'm like, oh, shit. Oh, fuck, my alternator's dying. And it's, I was having electrical issues, and I'm like, oh, it's 19 fucking degrees. And now I'm trying to desperately, like fucking panicky, get back to where I live, because there's a mechanic shop like across the street from a bank near where I live, and I'm watching the lights flicker on the dashboard and wanting to die, and I'm like, oh no, don't! I'm shutting off everything electric in the car to try and keep what little juice I have left alive till I get home. And I just managed to get the car into the parking spot in the bank parking lot, and that's it, died. And that was the best piece of luck I've had so far this year, because had I said yes to either one of those jobs, I never would have made it up to Teterboro. I would have been stuck on a turnpike for whatever, in 19-degree weather, which is no fucking picnic, with no heat until somebody towed me off there and got me back. The whole thing would have been fucked. This way, I got to just walk a few blocks, admittedly in the cold, but I walked a few blocks and I was almost like, I can't believe how fucking lucky I am. So next day, go to the garage, tell the guys about the car, blah, 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 blah. And I got, the way I got lucky that way is all of the cars that they were supposed to work on were all snowed in, all got plowed in, and they didn't want to, they didn't want to dig out their customers' cars and then work on them. So I said, no, it's right across the street in the bank parking lot. And they're like, yeah, okay, we'll get to it as soon as we can. And then the next day they called me up. They said, you need an alternator and a serpentine belt and a battery. And I'm like, yeah, go ahead, let's do it. So, $650 later, I was back on the road. So, and then what did I do? Thursday, I can't remember what the hell, it's almost nothing, like White Plains or something like that. And then I went to Virginia. No, I think I went to Virginia Thursday, White Plains on Friday, nothing on Saturday. Virginia again, Sunday, and now today I have the day off, and I didn't do anything other than go shop for food I'm not in the mood to do anything. So yeah, this too many adventures with this car, Virgil Doc. I think you are jinxing me, and I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you to stop jinxing me. Don't do that. But no, I don't think you're really jinxing me. But it's I don't know, more adventures in worse weather than I particularly care for. The whole idea of getting stuck in fucking 19-degree weather is like, I've been stuck in cars before. I really don't give a shit. But it's one thing if the car dies in June and it's 65 degrees at night. You know what I mean? Like you could camp. There's no rush for anything. But if it's 19 degrees Fahrenheit and the wind is howling, you don't want to be in an unreliable vehicle or difficult situation. So stop jinxing me. Virgil Doc in the chat, promise not to jinx. Well, I appreciate that, sir. I appreciate that, sir. One thing you could do to avoid jinxing your life, of course, is stop relying on this terrible, horrible government that we have. That's the servant of central banking. However, one thing. Let's do this. Let's do this. Last week, the week before, I mentioned the U.S. government, Delta Force, CIA, super weapons that they used to knock out the elite Cuban bodyguard of Nicolas Maduro, who's not a good guy. Did he deserve to get what happened to him? But there's no good guys. Maduro, bad guy. Trump, also bad guy. No good guys in this scenario. However, what was that technology? What, I ask you, was the technology? And the Pentagon just admitted that the sonic weapon that made Venezuelan soldiers' faces bleed was Kash Patel's girlfriend's music. That's right. The Israeli siren, the siren song of Tel Aviv Teresa, or whatever her name is what makes you fall down and blood to squirt out of your eyes and ears, and in excruciating pain. So that is the sonic weapon that Delta Force used to attack Maduro. And then what else? Just like this week, nothing super big happened. Nothing super obvious happened, although I did call tonight's show the Invisible Line. This is something, it's like a kind of an insider baseball thing, but if you are a lunatic who thinks that Bitcoin's going to take over the entire world, which that's me, that accurately describes me, you're like, hey, when is this shit going to happen? And a big step was taken last week when the restrictions on trading options were removed. So what does that mean? There's big money firms and banks and stuff can trade options on what the future of Bitcoin is going to be. They were limited to a certain dollar amount, and I don't know why that was, but they were limited that way. So and they're trading on what BlackRock holds and what Fidelity holds and what MicroStrategy holds. Basically, those three companies. And there was some dollar restriction on them that was removed, and so that's why you're seeing a bigger move in what's happening with Bitcoin. And I should have grabbed some screenshots, but of the latest 3 million Jeffrey Epstein emails that have been dumped on every topic under the sun, one of which, a number of which had to do with Wall Street and publicly traded companies. And Jeffrey and his friends used to print stock out of nowhere, which is 100% a federal crime, and short sell companies and then make a quick profit within 30 days. And short selling is the opposite of buy low, sell high. It's sell high, buy low. It's the reverse. Whole transaction has to close within 30 days, but that's that. And they would print stock they didn't have, or short sell stock they didn't have. And I don't know how you could do that and not go to federal prison, but these people make up their own rules, and they would knock down the value of companies temporarily and make money from that. So why does that matter? And I've showed that before. There's different companies. The guy who's trying to make autonomous trucks, who had a publicly traded, his business was publicly traded. They knocked it down. They had federal indictments go out to subpoena him for something, and then of course crash his stock price. So the let's destroy the prosperity you have crew, which hides behind the curtain, is alive and well and has been for some time. And what's great about that from a Bitcoin point of view is you can't print any more Bitcoin. So, and this, for me, if we're going to beat them, and I believe we will, we have to go into the belly of the beast. That they have to do everything possible to everything within their power to destroy us, and they have to fail. They have to fail, and that is going to be that. What do I got there? How much stuff do I have? Some stuff. To continue in the Bitcoin thing, yeah, definitely we're looking to 100%. We're looking to take Venezuela's Bitcoin. I don't think we need their oil. We don't need their fucking oil. But nation states make choices, and right now the U.S. is using its limited legal authority. Well, people still believe it has legal authority to seize criminal proceeds, and I think that was the real reason we went to Venezuela. That and the Israel thing, of course. In the meantime, we're trying to crash Iran. Although Iran, I think they're doing to themselves, like what we could do. I'm not sure why they're doing this, other than the fact that they always run to the money printer. That's their answer to everything. Iran's central bank is printing 2 quadrillion reals to prop up insolvent banks after they requested 5.6 quadrillion reals. Well, I guess it means something that they're only printing 2 quadrillion when the banks want 5.5 quadrillion paper receipts. You need to understand that this never works out in their favor. Are we screwing with this behind the scenes? Maybe we are. I don't know if Iran prints its own currency or not, but the people in charge of shit are stupid. They're short-sighted, and they're only ever doing things to their benefit. And even of all the arguments you could make how Africa gets exploited, apparently the Ghanaians are selling their gold reserves for foreign currency. So whatever Ghana has fucking done, that now they're selling their gold reserves. They're not smart enough to hang on to that one thing of value, right? Somebody, Francis, somebody's going to get all that shit, and that's that. And that's that. These guys are going to, they're going to fuck up their whole country. And, when all is said and done, and the people drag it, like in Ghana, it's really likely they'll get dragged out in the street and shot. They're gonna wonder why. Everybody makes the exact same stupid fucking mistake. And then they wonder why it went wrong. And then they wonder why it went wrong. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. What we want to do, haven't shown something like this in a while, we want to smash up the buy button. Not the biggest buy I ever did, but February 1st at 4:29 p.m., take some of my dirty fiat and turn it into Bitcoin. To be honest, I've been, every month I accumulate a certain amount, but every now and then I just smash up the buy button for a little more. And because while right now America's top dog and we're ahead of everyone else, it's not going to stay that way forever. And when things go really wrong, And I suspect they're going to go wronger faster. You know, you're going to wish you did that. You're going to wish you did that. It doesn't feel good to do at the time, but you're going to wish you did that. So I got a couple of things here. I'm going to have to read them once I put them up. This one, what do they call this one? Trust the plan. I don't even know. Oh, yeah, this is a good one. Some tweets. I am not the only person who observes. I am not the only sharp-eyed observer of the culture, of the times, of the zeitgeist. They want you to be stupid, illiterate, friendless automaton, garbling up AI slop and betting your meager savings on rigged NBA games. And if you try to be anything better, they want to be able to murder you in broad daylight. Yeah, that's closer to the truth than a lot of people are comfortable being. And in the meantime, like, the gaslighting just doesn't fucking end. I was looking at crime stats in New York City, and they're saying, oh, historic crime reductions, blah, 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 blah. And they keep focusing you on the murder rate. Like, they keep saying murder is the most serious crime and the murder rate's down, so crime is down. And that's simply not true. The murder rate is down because more people survive getting shot. And the reason why they survive getting shot is because there are cell phones to call emergency services, call the ambulance, get the ambulance there sooner. And more hospitals are really good at trauma medicine, which was like cutting edge shit in the 1990s. Your local hospital can do gunshot wounds shockingly well. So people are living. And what I underlined in the story was the NYPD confirmed that shots fired cases were down 4%. So they said, like, murder rates down this, blah, 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 serious crimes are down. That's because it's underreporting. They take a felony, they write it up as a misdemeanor, blah, 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 blah. But the number of shots fired, right, which is indicative of the real level of violence, is only down 4%. So that's, and they're saying that after a snowstorm, right? This is after the snowstorm, or in wintertime. That's when they're going to show you that metric. But that's the only metric that matters. That shows how much street crime there really is, how much violence there really is. It's the number of shootings. It's not how many people die from the shootings. It's the number of shootings that indicate the level of violence. So, yeah, they can gaslight a lot of different people by coming up with that statistic. Oh, murders are down 26%, so you're safer. Stop being terrified when you walk down the street. It's not really going to work. But they love fucking gaslighting you. They love gaslighting you. And what is this? Christy Noem saying, oops, I think I did something wrong. What is this? What's this guy saying? I don't care what your lying eyes tell you. What happened? Go to hell. I'll tell you to go to hell if I don't like it. Yeah, so that's DHS. Like I said, they want you illiterate and stupid. And if you dare go to a protest, with a gun on you, they're gonna shoot you in the face. When the Iranians are out there protesting, we need to send them guns. However, here in America, if you show up at a protest with a gun, we're gonna shoot you in the face. We're gonna shoot you in the face. I showed that one already. What else? Because more freedom. One of the fucking darkest fucking tweets I've seen. Freedom is when you die for foreigners that are stealing from you. Oh man, that is like 2026. That is so 2026. I don't know. I don't know what's more 2026. That may be one for the ages, that tweet. In the meantime, what do we got? A lot of videos. Speaking of which, the guy that what's his name? Alex Petty. The the terrorist who had 3 extra magazines, apparently he didn't bring those magazines. They were a gift from the federal government.
Okay, watch the agent. He's looking in his pants, on the outside of his pants. He searches on the side. He taps to the other agent, shows him where to look. He's looking and tapping the other agent. He finds the magazine. He gives it to him, puts it in his hand, and then they put it on Alex. That is proof right there that they planted the magazine rounds.
So they're going to shoot you in the face. They're going to plant false evidence on you. And mass gunmen are going to run around America and kill whoever they want without consequence. And people are cheering this mostly because they're sitting there hoping that eventually these masked gunmen get around to shooting the people that you don't like. Like, you know, people say, well, I won't make too much of a stink about this because eventually they'll get around to shooting people I don't like. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a piss poor fucking strategy because they're coming after you. They're coming after you. And, you know, these guys are not going to, they're not going to stop. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? One more, very, very typical attitude. There's like nothing, there's no amount of criticism that you can level against these feds that is too much criticism. And they're in terms of history, unless they erase this completely, and I think that'll be hard, they're hanging themselves with their own rope.
I will tell you this, brother.
What?
You know, I will tell you this. You raise your voice, I raise your voice.
If I raise my voice, you'll erase my...
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
Are you serious? You said if I raise my voice, you'll erase my voice?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
See, maricón. You know, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. You have feds telling you that if you speak out against them, they're gonna erase you. They're going to erase you. And you know what? That dude went home, had some rice and beans, and slept in his own bed that night. He's not going to get arrested. He's not going to lose a fucking day's pay. I mean, he might go to anger management class or something like that, but it's unlikely anything more severe than that, where you have armed federal gunmen threatening people, threatening American citizens, you know, threatening to murder American citizens after, I think, what DHS killed like 10 people last month. La-di-da, just let's, onto the fucking next thing. And there's no brakes on this fucking train. This is not going to get better. You know, I've seen all these different activists and they're going to Minneapolis and they're doing this and they're doing that. And there's, like I said, there are people saying, somebody graffitied like Ayatollah send help or something like that, to mock our interventionist thing in Iran. But the reason why supposedly the reason why we have not yet attacked Iran is the Iranians have apparently through back channel communications explained to Washington, D.C. that if the U.S. attacks them, Iran's just going to attack Israel. They're just going to straight attack Israel because they know Israel can't defend itself. That Iron Dome doesn't work against hypersonic missiles. I don't know how many fucking hypersonic missiles Iran still has. That's why they put out that video, what's the name? The boots are made for walking video. They're letting Israel know that, they're not going to try and fight America directly because they're not going to win, but they will punish Tel Aviv if America makes a move. So now what is Trump going to do? Right? That's kind of calling the bluff on Tel Aviv threatening to nuke Iran. So let's see what happens. But yeah, this is this is probably about the smartest thing the Iranians could be doing right now. You know, don't try to stand directly against the U.S. military because you ain't gonna make it. But what you can do is you can manage to fucking hurt that little monkey on the back of fucking America with that yarmulke wearing monkey who's really driving all of this. Speaking of driving, our friends the Chabadniks, the Chabad Lubavitch world headquarters was attacked. And we have it on video. So the dude in the jean shorts that's dancing around with the other Jews is a Chabadnik who then goes out and gets in a 1990s Honda Accord and very slowly rams into the front door of the Chabad headquarters as a terrorist attack. And the police came, put him in handcuffs and took him away. But, these guys don't go to jail. They don't go to Rikers. You know what I mean? He goes, sits in a cell for a couple hours and then they let him go. So they did maybe one of the worst, poorly executed false flag attacks you could possibly come up with. But they do it anyway, and they'll get away with it, and no one will go to jail for that. No one will ever go to fucking jail for that. All of this stuff, the endless fucking endless Fed ops, aside from Andrew Tate, Fuentes, they're pretty much cooked at this point. I don't think that they have. I don't think they have any influence whatsoever. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know if they had that much to begin with, and all of these Fed guys that these wannabe Fed dudes, all of whom are anti-Muslim American patriots who are really just small hats. There's one of them, I didn't even know this guy's name. I didn't know who he was. The guy's name is Jake Lang. He's the one that goes around like burning the Quran and shit like that. He was followed into a parking garage, something like that. He got into, he thought he could get physical with some people in a parking garage, and it didn't work. It did not quite work out the way he expected.
Here now, bro. Fuck you. Why all back?
So here's a tip. I'm not the world's greatest street fighter. I'm really not. And I'm not really super good at this shit. But let me explain to you that sticking your chin out like this while your hands are down and approaching someone is a great way to get the shit knocked out of you. Now, you happen to get punched in the throat. So, yeah, you don't want to get punched in the throat. Trust me, you don't want to get punched in the throat. But yeah, if you're going to go, fuck you, and you're going to get all heated like you're some type of Hebrew Superman, you need to have your chin tucked and your hands up. That's the way to do it. Hands down, chin forward is a great way to get knocked the fuck out or punched in the throat. Just some, free advice. Make of it what you will, but you really don't want to. You really want to understand the line between telling somebody to fuck you on the internet and then in the real world, right? That you have to understand you're not always on the internet. There are times when you are in the real world and there will be real world consequences. So you've got to be smarter than guys like that Jake Lang clown. So yeah, Mossad takes the fucking L on that one. Absolutely takes the L. Where's what else do we got? Doesn't have another one of him? You had another one of him. Maybe not. Maybe not. But the listen, every government in the fucking world is super corrupt, and they all run on fiat fucking currency. And until the money printer is destroyed, this shit just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
If you've seen any midday January 6 footage, you've probably seen Scaffold Commander in action without knowing it. From high atop the tower between 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., Scaffold Commander issued the iconic bellows and non-stop commands that are loud and clear on almost every video clip from January 6 filmed in that time interval. For nearly 90 minutes straight, he bombards the otherwise leaderless crowd below him with endless variations on a single instruction. Don't just stand there, keep moving forward.
Stand there. Move forward. Move forward. Help somebody over the wall. Move forward.
All the way back, you hear this guy saying, move forward, don't just stand there, help somebody over the wall. But once the crowd had continuously moved forward for over an hour, and the very first handful of rioters entered the building, Scaffold Commander suddenly threw the switch. Okay, we're in. Come on, we gotta fill up the Capitol. Come on. Come now. We need help. We gotta fill up the Capitol. They got in.
Okay, we're in. We're in. Come on. We gotta fill up the Capitol. Come on. Come now. Come now. We need help. We're gonna fill up the Capitol.
So Ray Epps was not the only person who seemed to have this premeditated plan on video to get everyone to go into the Capitol. The guy with the loudest megaphone the entire day, standing front and center, was telling everyone exactly that. It should make Scaffold Commander one of the top criminal suspects on the entire FBI Capitol Most Wanted list. Spoiler alert, he isn't even on the list. No charges have been filed, and the FBI to date has still never acknowledged his existence.
If that is not a fucking microcosm of of everything that's about to fucking happen, you show up and they're going to have people in that crowd one way or another. I don't know the video. There was one in Minneapolis, an anti-ICE demonstration where some dude burns the American flag, and the crowd goes, hooray! They get excited by watching him burn an American flag. And, you know, he's masked up, of course. It's Minneapolis. It's probably 19 degrees Fahrenheit there in springtime. But, you know, then he goes wandering off, like he fades into the crowd, and some of these people follow him, and they're like, "Hey, why did you just burn the flag? And now you're running away. Like, where are you going? You know, why do you get people all riled up and then just disappear?" And you can see the guy's desperately looking around for his ride. I don't know what street corner they were supposed to meet him on, but they had fucked up. You know, the video kind of ended inconclusively, but even the dopes in Minneapolis, the people who go to these, I guess if you go to enough of these protests, you sort of get, I don't know, like some kind of, like, you know, an experience level where you're not completely caught up in the moment. You start looking around, you start looking for people like whatever, the Scaffold Commander or Roy Apps or whatever. I don't think the anti-ICE protesters are making a connection yet. They don't understand that the people pushing those events are all fucking some sort of government agent, whether it's a local cop or a Fed or what, or, you know, that's what's pushing all of this shit. And the fucking normies, you know, the normies, they believe what they're told either on Fox News or CNN. And in the meantime, there are now speech codes everywhere, and more you're hearing that you can't say that.
Why?
Say the river sentence, please.
I didn't
Don't say it.
I just say from the river, but not from the river, please.
You said that 2 times. Please stop it. Otherwise, we have to arrest you again.
Okay.
Yeah? Please stop it.
So what shall I say?
Not this sentence.
To the beep.
Don't say that. It's forbidden. This sentence is forbidden. Don't say it
And we
again.
get arrested.
Yeah, I don't want to do it, but it's forbidden in Germany, and I have to arrest you.
Welcome to Germany 2026, ladies and gentlemen, where if you say certain words, you get arrested. Same thing in England, same thing everywhere. And all of this is because Those guys work for a paycheck. At the end of the day, it's all about their fucking paycheck. Somebody allows them to do this, and there's no, like I said, they get to go home and sleep in their own bed. They don't get arrested. There's no charges brought against them. They don't even lose a fucking day's pay. You know what I mean? And whatever the Constitution says, whatever you think the rule of law is, none of that shit fucking exists, because those guys, they get away with it forever. And the reason why is because somebody has the fucking ability to print quadrillions of fucking dollars or reals or whatever and hand them out, and they're gonna get the type of behavior they want. Those people are the bankers. The government you live under is a government of the bankers, by the bankers, for the bankers. People haven't quite figured that out yet. They're still playing, red team, blue team. But understand that there are some people that are starting to figure it out. Maybe not, they're not seeing the money printer, but they're seeing the pointlessness of red team, blue team.
What you're going to see today is you're going to see the Minneapolis Police Department, you're going to see the State Police Department, and you're going to see the National Guard turn against the people. And the reason is because of policy, procedure, and protocol. That's how it works. The policy of cops is to back up cops. I am a full-time civil rights activist. I have been doing this for years, but most of the time I'm at someone's house who's been killed by the police. I go visit someone's son or daughter where their parents have been killed by the police, their mom or their dad, and that's what I've been doing since 2020. See, what we keep doing in this country is we keep believing that a Republican or a Democrat is going to save us. I've seen all over Instagram people putting up these clips of the Minneapolis Police Department and saying, look, they're talking about ICE is violating our constitutional rights. The number one way that your rights or my rights are violated is your local police department. You will see the cops turn on the people today, 100%. This is the reason why I'm running for governor, because you keep electing the son or daughter.
Yeah, he'll never become governor. But he has a point, that the everyday armed tyrants, are the ones that are really constantly eroding your freedom. And high profile shit is high profile shit, but at the end of the fucking day, you are not going to fight these people, right? You're going to lose if you fight these people. January 6th, people, how many of them went to fucking prison? And then, mostly after the prison sentences were served, then Trump fucking pardons them post fucking prison release. But you know what? That's just grist for the mill for the leftists who were like, oh, look, they're, the felons, pardoning all his fellow fucking terrorists. And then, and that's because of fucking, that's because the money printer, and you got a lot of people, I so cannot stand this. I cannot fucking stand this. This shit pops up in my fucking feed, but when I tell you this, you're not going to convince anyone about anything. What you need to do is be disciplined and undermine central banking. Go to war against central banking, because that is the linchpin upon which all of this stuff fucking hinges. All of this stuff, including this shit.
I just got a Levo, so I'm gonna make some baked mac and cheese. The first step is to activate the herb. Oh my God. Pop it in this reservoir. Pop the top on, put it into the machine, and hit the activate cycle, 225 for 30 minutes. Okay, it's done activating. That smells ridiculous. It is time to add the butter. I'm adding 2 full sticks. I'm gonna infuse the butter at 160 for 3.5 hours. Set it and forget it. All right, let's see what we got. This butter turned out so freaking good, and I'm gonna be posting the recipe for the baked mac and cheese in the caption, but it was delicious, perfectly baked, and it got me perfectly baked too.
The fucking macaroni was fucking uncooked when she put it in there. You gotta be a fucking pothead. You gotta be a pothead to do that. But yeah, baked mac and trees. Mac and trees, everybody. And you may not know this, but cannabis is gonna, smoking weed is gonna fucking solve Alzheimer's. You're being gaslit nonstop. You're surrounded by fucking stoners who are gambling their fucking meager paychecks on whether or not, somebody's going to throw a giant green dildo onto the fucking floor of an NBA game. And, there's no redeeming this culture, right? It's going to be worse than fucking Weimar. It's going to be worse than anything anyone's ever seen. And if you're not disciplined, you don't have a fucking plan on how you're going to get through this, then you're going to be fucked. You are going to be fucked. You're going to be fucked. You're going to be fucked. And where's this guy? This is the other story. There was an individual behind a $40 million government wallet theft. Is the son of a seized crypto contractor executive. So this kid, whose dad, right? Talk about the seized Bitcoin from Venezuela. His dad is the guy who actually does has the contract for the U.S. Marshals. He holds it securely for the government. His son stole $40 million worth of Bitcoin and rented a private jet, and then he bought himself a bunch of expensive watches. And you can see he's got a big pile of fiat on his lap, and there he is. This is the best idea this kid had, to steal $40 million and do this. And I'm going to tell you that, if you're the son of a guy who has the contract to do the cyber shit for the U.S. Marshal Services, you're probably doing pretty good. You're probably life doesn't suck. I would not think that life sucks, but the kid wants to be a gangster, so whatever he did, he went to where daddy works, and he had one of the software guys explain to him how all that shit works. Here's the account, here's the password, that we use to keep the federal marshals' crypto seizures safe. And the kid was like, gee, thanks, wage slave that works for my father, the federal contractor. And then the kid just stole $40 million. It's going to be super interesting. I'd like to try and follow what happens to this kid, because I don't think this child is a chosen one. And I'm going to suspect that he gets more time than all of these other crypto hackers combined. All of them. I would think he'll get more time than all of them. In the meantime, Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange, and as far as I'm concerned, and I will say it again, it is a CIA front company. They've doubled down on Bitcoin. They're going to buy $1 billion worth of Bitcoin in the next 30 days. They're dumping whatever their native shitcoin is, and they're going all in on Bitcoin. And you could sit there and go, well, how come the price is $70,000? Like I said, the Wall Street boys are doing their options trades and all this sort of stuff, and they're going to be pushing the price around. But it has to happen. If Bitcoin doesn't survive this, then it doesn't deserve to survive this. It does not deserve to survive this, because who's this? Oh, one last thing about the feds. This guy Kiriakou keeps popping up in my feed. But just to remind you once again, there's consequences for shit. If you think they're just arresting people in England for tweets, that's going to come here. And if you if you get too fucking cute with the shit you fucking do and say online, and the federal government decides to grab you for whatever reason, here's what they're going to do to you.
One of the things that I learned, and this became painfully evident when they started arresting January 6th people, was the FBI in Washington likes to make its arrests on Thursdays because there are no federal arraignments on Friday. So you're in the DC jail Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, getting the shit beaten out of you. And then they arraign you on Monday. And then you want to make a deal just so you don't ever have to go inside that prison again.
Yeah, so there's Kiriakou, explaining that if you're really not a street guy, if you're not willing to fucking sleep on a concrete floor and, to fucking throw down over fucking the world's worst fucking bologna sandwich on fucking 4-day-old stale bread, if you're not willing to fight 3 guys for that, then you probably should not get arrested by the feds. And they know that, and they will, like you said, they'll deliberately put you in there for as long as they can keep you in there. And you got to understand it. There today, the federal lockup, there's all street guys there. Like, since the EBT card was created, there's no more welfare checks that go out. So, and when the welfare payments used to be a physical paper check that someone would take to a bank, postal workers were safe. But postal workers are getting assaulted all over the place, all over the country, because they're not safe anymore, right? They don't have that magic check. The first of every month used to be called Mother's Day in the hood, where all the single mothers would wait for their check and then they would go spend the money. Well, now it's automatic. It's on the card at 12 a.m. on the first of the month. And these people, they're already waiting at the 24-hour Walmart at 11:45. And as soon as 12 o'clock comes, they start ringing up all their items. So that means that postal workers are not a protected class anymore, and they're getting banged up. They're getting roughed up pretty bad. And so you'll be in jail with people on federal charges that are straight up out of the fucking projects, and you're not going to like that experience. I promise you, you're not going to like that experience. So be smart. Don't be like the fucking January 6th fucking people, and don't go saying sentences you shouldn't be saying, because you're probably not going to be able to survive 3 or 4 days in the DC lockup or wherever they're going to put you in a lockup. And I assure you, they will make sure you go in the worst fucking holding cell of all the fucking holding cells. And then in the meantime, we got guys like this. This is that fucking Cantor Fitzgerald douchebag. Life is going to get rougher and rougher because they've got the ultimate idea on how to make America prosperous.
The fact is, our rates are much, much too high. Hundreds of basis points too high. What used to happen in America is when we would grow, they'd raise rates to try to put the brakes. And when we were having trouble, then they'd cut rates to add a little gas. But basically, it was designed to have the United States be mediocre. And Donald Trump thinks, make America great again. Why can't we have growth if we have low inflation, have low interest rates? And if we cut interest rates 100 basis points, you're going to see the United States grow 6% or more. And that is something that no economist has ever thought was even possible.
Yeah, so that's the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald. He's the current Secretary of Commerce. He's already a multi-billionaire. His brother died on 9/11. What's the guy's name? I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now. And he's, being a billionaire, being in the White House, being the Secretary of Commerce, on what accomplishments, I don't know, not enough for him. Right? The endless need for fucking more. Is, he wants to run the economy hot. We'll just lower the interest rates, print more money, and we'll grow our way out of this. The GDP will be 6% or 7%. Well, I mean, that would be great if you got paid in GDP, but And when I mean you, I mean like the average person. You don't get paid in GDP, right? You don't get a raise based on what the GDP is. In fact, I don't know who gets raises anymore at work, but if your income went up, measure it with GDP, that wouldn't be too bad. But the GDP is fucking a ridiculous number. That's one of these fairy tale numbers that they tell you is important, like the murder rate. The murder rate is down, so you're safer. GDP is up, so you're wealthier. And it's just 100% gaslighting, and people believe it. They absolutely go forward believing that, in spite of everything their fucking eyes are telling them. And in the meantime, there's a few people, even this douchebag, this guy I know is a very anti-Bitcoin guy, but they have been sitting around thinking about this for a while, and it's occurred to them that someday we're gonna cross we're gonna go too fucking far, and then who knows if we can reel it back in.
1929 specifically can't be repeated.
Okay,
for a lot of reasons.
I'll throw out one reason it could.
Okay.
There's only really one way it gets there.
MicroStrategy.
No, if you believe that debt is the match that lights the fire of every real crash.
Yes.
One of the lessons that we learned actually in the aftermath of 1929 that we actually enacted in 2008 and again actually during the pandemic is when you have a crisis, you're supposed to throw money at the problem. That's actually what Ben Bernanke learned, by the way, doing his thesis at Princeton on the Great Depression, and that was everything they didn't do.
Yeah.
So now we have this playbook, which is, okay, looks like there's a crisis. Fix it. Spend the money. It doesn't matter. Back in 1929, there was a budget surplus in America.
Right. We're not in that position.
And so what I just don't know is whether there is some kind, I've always thought there would be like some invisible line in the debt in America. So we have $38 trillion of debt right now. Is there a day where we actually do have some kind of massive pullback in the market or something terrible happens? The Fed says, and the politicians say, we're going to bail out everybody. We're going to spend $5-10 trillion because that's what we have to do. The playbook says to do that because if we don't do that, we're going to be in this other mess. But in the process of doing that, all of a sudden the bond market says, no mas, this is not going to work for us anymore. And we're going to, have to pay extraordinary, interest rates. And then all of a sudden you get into some kind of terrible austerity spiral. And then you actually do land in 1932.
Yeah. So
that is the path.
So
I'm not suggesting that happens, but that's the thing I worry about.
The funny thing about that is, how do we get to 1929? How do we get to that mega crash, right? And the first thing that the bold guy says is MicroStrategy. That's Michael Saylor's company that's buying all the Bitcoin. They just bought Bitcoin again. And they all laugh. And that's that's what's on the back of their minds all the time. These are the super finance bros. They know what they're talking about. Like the young guy that was mostly on screen was talking about what the playbook is to get out of a problem, to get out of economic problems. He's a CNBC commentator and he's very anti-Bitcoin. But the joke, that uncomfortable joke where they almost laugh when the guy says, oh, what causes 1929? The guy says, MicroStrategy. That is to say, people realizing that something that cannot be inflated has more value than something that can be inflated. Then the guy goes on to say, well, we'll just run the money printer, we'll spend the money, but you're not spending, he says spend the money, but he means print the money, right? We're not spending, as the guy said, we don't have a budget surplus. We have a $38 trillion deficit and we're just going to print more money. And someday people are going to say, we don't want this government debt anymore. It's worthless because you keep printing money. We want something else that can't be printed. And that could trigger an austerity spiral. That means most, if not all of this shit comes to a fucking end. And we end up in 1932, right before, I don't know, I guess, 1932 is what? The year before Hitler, right? They keep imagining the super boogeyman is going to come and do bad things to them. But what's going to happen, and I'm glad, by the way, they think that, because there's no super boogeyman going to come. There's no right-wing populist that's going to fix everything. That's like I said, nobody's coming to fucking rescue you. It's going to be worse. It's going to be far worse. It's going to be Bitcoin, which Bitcoin isn't fucking human. It's just going to keep going every 10 minutes like it always has. And the rules are not going to fucking change at all. And you can join that economic system, or you could stay with the money printer. And I don't know where you are in life. Me, I'm actually getting old at this point. I'm fucking 60, and I don't even have kids, but I don't want to be starving and homeless at the fucking end of my life. And I'm not going to be holding their fucking promises or their currency. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not doing it. And I would suggest to you that you should not do it either, because it never fucking ends well for the people who trust them. You are trusting people who are stealing from you and sending your sons and daughters off to, or you to die in foreign wars. Don't do that. Be smarter. You know, is all this stuff going on? Yeah. You know, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Yeah. And that should all be motivation for you to double down on doing everything you can peacefully and legally to destroy the system they have set up. What is that system? You've seen it before, but here it is one more time.
Switzerland, it's all about chocolate, cheese, and mountains, am I right? Wrong! How about this building here? This tower right behind me is the world's most powerful financial institution. This is the Bank of International Settlement, central bank of all central banks. The Tower of Basel. Here you go, that's Basel SBB. And that's the world's most important financial institution. Like, imagine this is actually normal in Switzerland. We have a hotel, a pharmacy, Chinese restaurant right here. Oh, and right here, just a little institution that runs the world. The world's biggest central banks, the Federal Reserve, European Central Bank, even the IMF. Every couple of months, they show up right here in Basel for secret meetings where they get naked and sacrifice virgins or something. And guess what? The Bank of International Settlements is not even in Swiss legal jurisdiction. That means Swiss police cannot enter this building. They have no power here. This is a sovereign entity. The US, the EU, it's above all of these countries, virtually untouchable. Oops, I touched it though. I'm zooming in very quickly to see if I can see any financial wrongdoing in these buildings, but they probably don't do it next to the windows. I get fined if I recycle incorrectly. Meanwhile, these guys over here are rewriting global banking laws and bankrupting developing countries. Just like that. I mean, the aesthetic of the building is definitely an evil villain headquarters. You'll also say it's intentionally made to look boring just to avoid any unwanted attention. But it didn't work on me. That's Switzerland in a nutshell, guys. The most powerful institutions in the world are right under our noses, and we'd never even notice.
You never notice because of selective attention. You're focused on the wrong thing. You're counting how many times, you know, team white t-shirt passes the basketball and how many times team black t-shirt blocks it. And you're missing a monkey in the middle of the basketball game. And what I'm telling you is stop that. You know, you need to see what animates all of this, and decide whether or not you want to go along with it, or if you want to try and oppose it. And you don't have to try to oppose it. You can openly oppose it. Is there a guarantee we're going to win? I think we're going to win. But there are no guarantees in life. There are no guarantees in life. And there's no guarantee that something won't happen this week. No, nothing's going to happen. There's no more bad things are going to happen with my car. Despite Virgil, the jinx, Virgil Doc, Purple Heart. Anyway, teasing, that was a joke. It was a joke. Anyway, you're still here. It's not 19 degrees anymore. It was 36 degrees today. It was like springtime. At least when I was out earlier, people were like the fact that it was 36 degrees and no 40-mile-an-hour wind, people were like laughing and they had their hats off and they were all joyful as if it was spring, and it was just 36 degrees and sunny with no wind. Anyway, you're still here. Smash up the like button. Rumble people, make sure you smash up the like button. And with that, yeah, we're pretty much done. We're pretty much done with everything. We hit an hour. We covered what we needed to cover. You know, I will, Virgil Doc and everybody watching, and and who will watch in the coming week. Thanks for stopping by, guys. I'll talk to you again next week.